What's up, guys? It's your boy Shady Mike, and today we're gonna have an awesome opportunity to talk about just the ridiculous amount of information that dropped in the Madden 26 gameplay deep dive. So if you're interested in Madden and college football, guys, especially on the PC, make sure you guys drop a like and a subscription, because we're going to be covering this all summer and really all year. So yeah, guys, this is definitely going to be a little bit of a longer video. We're going to take some time to break down all the details from the very exciting gameplay deep dive. Now, I must say, this is a little bit of a newer territory for me. You guys know my channel is usually mostly 2K based, and this is the first time for me really covering a Madden news cycle this heavily here on the channel. Naturally, that comes with the pros. There's a lot of skeptics. You know, people are saying, oh, you're, shilling or selling out, all that cool stuff. Those comments actually more so excite me, because that just means we're doing something right. I try to cover Madden in a little bit of a different way, right? If you just want a bunch of views and you just want a banger hunt, it's very easy to just make a bunch of negative content about Madden. But I try to be like kind of that opposite voice that's going to try to objectively break down the things I'm excited about. And also the areas that I think the game and the franchise has an area of opportunity to improve. So the reason I started the video like that is because I just want to be very direct. The gameplay deep dive, had a lot of positive things in it, and we're gonna walk through and we're gonna break it down. We're not gonna read it word for word, but I'm gonna talk about the highlights and the things that stood out to me. So I titled this video, it's just an oath to return to simulation football. So, and I apologize if people are uncomfortable with me referencing 2K as much as I do, but I think it's profound because, right, I'm so used to covering 2K that their marketing is on online play and park and really arcade gameplay. This approach by EA, a return to NFL simulation realistic football, at least this is what's being promised and projected, is foreign to me. I really feel like 2K abandoned the NBA product, while I feel like EA is leaning into the NFL product, going very in-depth, saying we want more accurate NFL content in our games as far as position names and route concepts and the way man and zone defense is played. It for me, it's a breath of fresh air. Some, I'm sure, in the comments will say the wool is being pulled over my eyes, but I would say, guys, I think that's going to be the theme of today's video as we walk and talk through these features. They're all going to sound great, but it's going to be about execution, and is that execution going to be there this year? Because if it is, I don't think there's any denying from the people that can objectively look at things that this is shaping up to be a really nice looking year for video game simulation football. So that's my strong thoughts. I know there's always someone in the comments that comments, oh, video starts at 6 minutes and 30 seconds, but I always feel like it's important to set that context in a video like this so that people can know where I come from and really to understand like how I try to approach things. The goal of my videos is never to convince anyone to buy something or to not buy something. I, be honest, don't really care what you do, because we're going to be playing these games on the channel regardless. But I do want to take the time, right, to kind of paint the picture and see what we're going into this year, especially, as I know some people are going to be on the fence for the game, even though me personally, I'm not. I'll definitely be there day one, and I'll be there for you guys, so that for the people that didn't pick the game up, you can see what it's all about. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into the start of the gameplay deep dive. All right, guys, so the first thing that I'd like to talk about gameplay wise is the quarterbacks. They're calling this system quarterback DNA, and we have seen quite an overhaul to the system to make quarterbacks play better. And I think that's something that we've all wanted for a long time, right? We've wanted quarterbacks to challenge us. A quarterback is really the most unique part of the NFL game. The quarterback that you have is going to determine really the direction of your franchise. And getting a good or better quarterback can completely change the direction of your franchise And it looks like EA is trying to replicate that with the game, with this new quarterback DNA system. And you feel it right away. We've seen a lot of these details. The fact that you can do right ball carrier moves behind the line of scrimmage really changes the way you play if you have a more mobile quarterback like Lamar, Jalen Hurts, or Kyler Murray, right? But it's not just mobile quarterbacks. It's throwing the ball at different arm angles. It's having an advantage if you have a taller quarterback because they can see over the line, right? This is what I've talked about when I say like Madden 26 is a return to foundational football. It's very exciting to see something like this. Now, they've also talked about this list of quarterback traits, and there's literally like 50 new traits, and there's an insane amount of different traits. Quarterbacks that are more willing to check down, quarterbacks that are more willing to throw down the field, quarterbacks that target certain receivers. It's a really cool thing, but I think what stuck out to me the best was the fact that the traits weren't all positive, right? There was a trait like called seeing ghosts, and if you take a sack in the drive, like somebody's going to be more likely to struggle because they have recently been hit a lot. So very curious to see like how this enhances the gameplay. Speaking of, staying on that kind of DNA, right? The next part they called coach DNA. What I really want to emphasize here is they said there was data-driven play calling and adaptive counters. So that's interesting to me because the number one thing that stands out to me when I hear data-driven play calling is I want to hear run-pass ratio, right? Look at the Eagles towards the bottom of the league in pass attempts. Going to pound the rock with Jalen, pound the rock with Saquon, right? I would like that replicated in the game, a run-based football program, but not just like, and so we know that's a focus, but this is just me talking now. How does that emanate through your program is my question, right? I want that to emanate through the whole program. So a team that has a coach that focuses on running the ball, focuses on maybe signing more linemen, drafting linemen higher. Maybe wide receivers aren't as eager to play here in free agency, right? Like I want all of that to come together. So that's just me talking and speculating. It would be really cool to see stuff like that kind of play into like that based on the type of coach that you have. So I'm excited to see what that entire process is going to equate to. The next part of the trailer talked about football weathering. Now, you guys know me, I play Madden on the PC. We did have that crazy behind snow mod, and it literally looks like they took that mod and took it to 20. There's fog, there's snow, there's rain, there's wind. It's incredible. It looks insane. You can't see 10 feet in front of you. But I think the one thing about that was curious to me was, okay, when one thing we saw in the gameplay is players falling and slipping and sliding. And so that, really, especially when I played the beta, yes, the weather has a huge impact on players. And sometimes, it makes more sense to have more of a ground and pound type approach. I think the one thing I am curious about, and this is one of the things I'll test is, when I'm playing in that heavy snow, it's hard to see receivers 15 or so yards down the field. I wonder if that also applies to the CPU, or are they kind of going to be throwing through the fog like there's nothing there? So I'm very curious to see. They then talked about player movement, and guys, let's just call it what it is. They just put the college football movement into Madden. Explosive players are explosive. They feel fast, they feel strong, they feel quick, they feel shifty and twitchy. I know some people last year were saying it's more arcade. I don't agree with that. One thing I don't like is slow, unathletic gameplay. And it's not that Madden 25 was terrible in this aspect, but boy, was it such a contrast to college football 25. And one of the things that the developers were saying, they said it in the deep dive, they said it, on Twitter, they said, guys, 4-2 speed is 4-2 speed. The game is fast. These players are athletic. Let's replicate that in Madden. I'm very happy to see that. And on the channel here, guys, we're going to talk more about kind of college football and Madden, about how these games are impacting and influencing each other. And this was one area I felt like this was just straight up something college football did better. I'm really excited to see this type of improvement to Madden as well. Guys, the next topic that I wanted to touch on was depth chart modernization. Now, this has been something that the devs have indicated that they've wanted to improve on for years, right? Adding the new positions, long snappers, edge rushers, right? Sam, Will, Mike, linebackers, updated terminology is pretty freaking cool. There's also like a depth chart slot for like what's called a gadget player, and I'm not 100% sure exactly how that's going to work, but it's going to be specifically for players like Deebo Samuel, for players like Travis Hunter, guys that are going to be playing on both sides of the ball. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out and what other types of players can fit into that role, especially with the new wear and tear system. Like how is that going to work? What are going to be really the upsides and the downsides? So like, hey, I can't just put, I don't know, my best player, Justin Jefferson, in the gadget role, like if he's not equipped for it, even though he's a superstar in his position. I'm really curious how those gadget players are going to stand out from, from different, from the different superstars that are already in the league. Guys, the next part that they talked about was pass coverage improvements, and I can't even go all the way in depth with this, but it's just insane. They talked about leverage. They talked about upgrading the man coverage, guys. They talked about custom zones, custom zone depths, and I just want the takeaway to be all of this is controlled. They talked about a new route commit, like where you can like it's almost like a pass commit, but you can commit to a route, an inside route, an outside route. You can do it based on your whole secondary. You can do it based on your entire, just one individual player, maybe in the slot. So I just want the takeaway here to be, guys, we have so much individual control on how we play defense this year. It's going to be very exciting to see how this stuff fits into the game. I know the online players are going to love that, but even myself as an offline player, over the years in both college football and Madden, I was frustrated with the quality of man coverage in both of these games. If you are a person like me who's been disappointed with the pass coverage, specifically the man coverage over the past few years, it's going to be exciting because you're going to be able to say, yes, I want to sign a corner that has a high man coverage rating. He's going to be able to take certain receivers out of the game. So I'm really excited to see how that plays into the way we play the game. The next thing that they talked about was the refined physics-based gameplay, the boom tech, as it's called. They said they've expanded the physics for tackles, stiff arms, and trucks. And the really coolest mechanic that I've seen in the gameplay is the reach for the sticks, they're calling it mechanic. And this is where once you get close to a first down marker or the goal line, you can kind of hold the ball out. It's pretty cool. And I even saw the one thing that, I thought was really cool is the players when they're running, like especially towards the sideline. I don't know if you've ever seen a quarterback run towards the sideline, but they'll like hold the ball out so they get as much yards, like they hold the ball forward. We saw that. So that is a really cool thing, guys. I don't know if they really emphasize that. I felt as much as they should have, because I really like that kind of mechanic where you can stretch the ball out. I will say this, they talked about adding a ton of new tackling animations, and I apologize, I don't remember the exact number. They said it's like 700 or something more tackling animations, and this is one of the most visually apparent changes to the game. Is you're not seeing the same tackling animations over and over again. When you get hit, you're like, oh wow, haven't seen that before. Like, oh wow, that's a new tackling animation. So that's just a year-to-year improvement. Obviously, every year we're going to be looking for that type of improvement, and we definitely have it here this year. I can say for certain. The next part that they talked about was block steering. The new AI-based blocking is very interesting to me because it covers both the run game and the passing game. Now, one of my biggest gripes with college football and Madden has been, in my opinion, I just think it's too easy to run the ball. I'm really hoping that is kind of an emphasis this year, where the run game is not just a guaranteed 7 to 8, 9 yards per carry, because that was one of my biggest gripes. But they just talked about like one of the biggest improvements that we're going to see from what I've seen is just like free rushers, especially when you have a running back into block. The running back sliding across the formation to stop a free runner, feeling like you can confidently step up into the pocket. And so we see that. I want to see that also in the run game as well, with pulling blockers and stuff like that. So they basically talked about just their AI system and how they're using that to kind of steer blockers to defenders. And so I'm really excited about that. And I know systems like this, right, they're not perfect. And in the moment somebody misses a block, Ryan Moody 21 is going to be recording a video. He's just going to press record and say, see guys, the blocking is as bad as it's ever been. Go back and play NFL 2K2, right? So, you know what I mean? We understand that, but, you know, I'm very excited to see the emphasis and the improvement here in this area of the game. So, the next thing that they talked about was playbooks and coaching adjustments. They said there's about 1,000 new plays. There's new adjustments. You can do like safety alignments. You can do safety depth. You know what I mean? So you've seen all of like these different, you can target like RPO, specific RPO defenses. I mean, again, that's why I wanted to emphasize control. You have so many different areas that you can control in terms of how you defend and how you set up your defense, which is really, really cool there. The coolest thing that I think I noticed about the new plays, they do have these double motion plays where you can send one guy in motion, then send another guy in motion. So that's interesting. The only gripe that I have with that, and we do have to keep this in mind, is anyone that plays with the accelerated clock, the question is the CPU going to be able to get those plays off because they're doing multiple motions and stuff like that? So I got to keep an eye on that. And the last thing they emphasize, which I know people might not even care about, but I want to emphasize, is they modernized the skills trainer. They said there's over 130 tutorials covering every new mechanic in the game to help players master the new features. And you're probably like, Shady, you've been playing Madden since Madden 2002. I've been playing Madden since blah, blah, blah. Like, who cares? But no, I'm being dead serious. They changed a lot, like as far as control. I don't want to call it like an overhaul, but a lot is different the way we handle our defensive adjustments. So that is something that I'm going to be jumping into because I needed to learn the new system and how everything is controlled, because we can control so much more. All right, guys, and that is going to do it for our review, I guess you can call this, of the Madden 26 gameplay deep dive. Once to let you guys know, I am going to be streaming Madden later tonight, so feel free to pull up. Let me know your thoughts on everything that's going on with Madden and college football as well, right? We know that since I've dropped this video, the college football deep dive has dropped as well, so we're going to be covering that, talking about that. I'll give you guys the thoughts. I really want to talk a lot about accessories. I want to talk about some of the drama in the community about everything that's going on with the accessories. Another thing I wanted to talk about too was really the comparison between the two games, between Madden 26 and college football 26. A lot of conversation going on between how similar or different those two games are and whether or not that's a good thing. I really appreciate all the support on the channel. It's been live. I'm having a blast covering these games, and yeah, I will catch you guys in the next one. It's your boy Shady Mike. I'm signing out. Peace.